It's AI slop time. Yeah, didn't think I would start a video like that really ever, but here we are in current slop year, and well, the AI slop is literally everywhere. Now, around here, it's kind of like the opposite because this is like a different dimension where we're stuck in the early 2010s. No, this is not a texture pack. This is the real deal. This is macOS Lion. So if you're new here, just know that we're basically stuck in 2011 here in terms of the software because it was a better time when the software actually worked. There was no AI slop. There was no really... Honestly, it's just a completely different world compared to the software that you see nowadays. And it's one of the big reasons why I genuinely do use macOS Lion on a regular basis. Like, the software just works. So what if it's obsolete? All of the Mac systems I have around me, honestly, they're even older than a decade at this point, and yet they still work just fine. But in today's video, I thought, why not actually take a look at some genuine AI slop and see how well it can compare to my knowledge of my iTunes library, and more specifically like song lyrics, information about songs, and stuff that I actually know. See if the AI itself can detect it, because it's supposed to know everything, right? The difference here is that the AI can obviously search the internet, but I personally have built my iTunes library. Now, some of the songs on it are basically from like other iTunes libraries, so other iPods and stuff, and I haven't really gone through the entire thing to sort everything that I want. But the point is to see, is it actually useful? Really, the only AI I've used is like whatever shows up on Google, and yes, we are using the private window because I don't want this to mess up my search results, because like I said, I really do actually use this on a regular basis. YouTube works just fine on this. Macintosh Garden is great for old Mac software. The Internet Archive is very helpful, especially when you're actually trying to recover old software that has been lost to time. And all of this is made possible using my Mac Pro from 2006. So yeah, that makes it a 20-year-old system at this point, yet it's still completely usable. Interesting how that works, right? So, okay. The only nice part about this is that you don't actually have to log in to try this out. I will say that I have very briefly tried out the ChatGPT website just to see how it works, so it would be easier to film the video, but apart from that, I really don't know anything about this. So it'll be interesting to see how well this works, and if it actually knows anything about music. So the first thing I wanted to try out was Eiffel 65's I DJ with the Fire. Why? Because I thought it would be a funny option, and because the lyrics on this, I'm guessing it's probably not going to get it the first try, just because, well, I DJ with the Fire. I mean, the track itself just goes so hard, but we got to see if the AI itself knows its stuff. Let's see, show lyrics. So for this, I'm going to type, it looks like you're referencing the lyric. Well, that's what I typed. Seriously? Okay, let's try it again. This time, let's put in quotations. The lyric is right here. Now, I will say that I haven't put any punctuation, but, that's kind of the whole point. That is not the song I'm referring to. Okay, so now it knows. You're referring to the song I DJ with the Fire. Why did you not guess that the first time? Why was that not the first response? You're right to question that. My first response assumed you meant I like to move it because... Come on. What we're going to do is we're going to open a new instance, try it again. It's another different song, and it's not Eiffel 65 song. I said... Whoops. Bro, that is not the song I'm referring to. Okay, so it got it, but again, the second time here. Okay, third time's the charm. Is it gonna go and actually say Eiffel 65? No. Now that you mention it, you're probably thinking of the lyrics haven't changed. They've been right here, and it doesn't bring it up. It's literally the name of the song. Now, if it doesn't know about Blue, like if it doesn't know this song, And we're going to start with, yo, listen up, here's the story. By the way, I don't have lyrics for absolutely every single song on my iTunes library. Ideally, I would like to have it. I spent quite a bit of time adding all the ones for Eiffel 65 here, like forever ago at this point, but I still have a lot of songs that I need to edit. The Real Slim Shady? Come on. Blue World. Ah, now it's clear. You're talking about the iconic opening to Blue Dabba. That little guy in a blue world is pure 90s Eurodance nostalgia. Okay, let's continue with this instance and see what else can it say. So I saw something about how they added the piano music because the sound insulation wasn't the greatest and they heard piano music, and it also like went pretty well with the music that they were working with. Okay, it wasn't actually recorded on a real piano. Obviously they used synthesizers and other digital effects, but I want to specifically know why. Why did they decide to use the piano in the track? Okay, in essence, the piano wasn't about realism. How... Okay, maybe I should ask, how did they get... The inspiration comes down to a mix of Eurodance trends. I mean, I guess it's not wrong, right? Experimentation in the studio, the track started as simple. I think it's closer, but all I remember is that like the separate sound studios were literally built different back then. I know that they heard piano music. Okay, I'm gonna ask it directly. Did they hear... Bro, what are you telling me that I'm imagining this? Now I remember, it was actually like the behind the scenes on how they made Blue in the first place. It was like one of the featured videos on the YouTube channel. What do you mean I'm imagining this? I'm asking you if you knew this, and now you're telling me that I'm the crazy one here. Several non-soundproofed studios, so that's what I remembered, but bro, AI slop. Gotta love it. So I have another song ready to go, but before we move on to that, I'm gonna ask it real quick. What do you mean imagine? I already knew this. Ah, got it. I see exactly what you mean now. I wasn't trying to gaslight or second guess you. That was a poor choice of words on my part. You were asking a factual question about the piano part and the studio setup, not whether it was hypothetical. Yes, what you said is correct. I'm just gonna say wild, you know? Wild. Right? Okay, so the next song here, I'm not gonna open up a new instance because I want to just immediately switch over, and that is Eric Clapton's My Father's Eyes. I guess we can just start with the first lyric itself, and we should actually be able to have this in the background if it's at very low volume. So, sailing down behind the sun. Ah, now we're deep into the Blue Dabba lyrics again. Wave emoji. Sailing down behind the sun is part of the imagery that makes the song. This is not in the song. Ah, yes, that line keeps the Blue World story going. It's the part where the song mixes whimsy with the touch of longing. Even though Blue Dabba... Okay, I'm just gonna continue with this. Ah, now that line really leans into the emotional undercurrent of Blue Dabba. Even though the song is upbeat and danceable, lyrics like this hint at vulnerability and a desire for renewal. What is this in context with the Blue World imagery? This content may violate our usage policies. What? And it just says it anyways. That line is... Bro. It looks like the lines you quoted aren't actually from Blue Dabba at all. Those specific lyrics come from a different song called My Father's Eyes. Whoa! Crazy, I know. I mean, okay, sailing down behind the sun, I guess I could have seen that, but by the time I wrote the second lyric, it's like, how do you not know this? Song about personal reflection, loss, and looking for connection. Like, this is why I wanted to completely switch from Eiffel 65, which is more of like a upbeat dance style music, and then we have Eric Clapton. In fact, I have it right here. It's a pretty solid album. But anyways, okay, it's still talking about Blue. I mean, I guess it got there faster than Eiffel 65, but, you know, it's talked about more, so. Next up, we're gonna play Calling All Stations by Genesis. So I do have the lyrics for the first song, but I don't have them for the rest of the album, so we're just going to stick with Calling All Stations. And like before, we're not going to skip the, or we're not going to remove this instance of this current AI whatever, so we're just going to say Calling All Stations. How did it know? How did it immediately know? Is it because we've been talking about music? I recognized Calling All Stations as the Genesis album. It's the most notable work with that exact title in music history. We had just been talking extensively about songs, so the conversation strongly suggested, okay, I'll give it that. It actually knew that. So it wasn't random. It was context plus likelihood plus L ratio. Seeking connection, isolation and distance, emotional broadcasting, and universal appeal. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's literally in the album artwork. A guy alone, no one else around him, in the void. It goes pretty hard, I won't lie. Epic. In the late 90s, album art often embraced digital, surreal, or airbrushed imagery. Essentially, the artwork is epic because it matches the album's emotional and sonic landscape. Ah, you want to get Calling All Stations on your iPhone 3GS? That's definitely vintage tech. Here's the most reliable way to do it. Okay, using iTunes. 3GS only works with older versions of iOS and iTunes. This is a lie. I mean, you can still use Finder with old iTunes, or not iTunes, old iPods and iOS devices, but I do use old iTunes. Alternative, use an old version of Apple. Use an old version of Apple Music or third-party apps? What? The 3GS is so old that Finder doesn't recognize it properly for music syncing. Now, honestly, I can't really say much about this. Now, from what I remember, at least using a 3GS with my Mac Mini on Big Sur, it does detect it. I'm able to get files off of it because I have used the 3GS to record videos in the past. I mean, I'm using an iPhone 4 right now, and I transfer files over it to the Mac itself all the time, but that's for videos. Okay, I'm just gonna say that this is like a pass, so maybe I shouldn't have said the 3GS. Okay, how can I use macOS Lion to sync? Perfect! The good news is that macOS 10 Lion still uses iTunes for syncing. Wow, I never would have guessed. Fully compatible with the iPhone 6s, but wait, hold on. iOS 12? Wait a second, this is... Okay, macOS Lion comes with iTunes 10 or 11 by default. That's fully compatible with the iPhone 6s, iOS 9 to 12. Okay, that is not right. iTunes 10 only goes up to, or 10.6.3 only goes up to iOS 5.1.1. I don't remember what iTunes 11 was because I haven't really used it that much, but I can say that it's definitely not iOS 12. This version is from 2015. Now, it does support iOS 9. Ensure your 6S is running at least iOS 9, otherwise Lion's iTunes may not fully recognize it. Okay, so why is this correct? And this is, what do you mean iTunes 11.4? Ah, this is a subtle but important detail. You're right to question it. Here's the breakdown. Okay, it's straight up telling me that my iTunes version doesn't exist on Lion. iTunes 11 fully compatible with Lion. Last official version Apple released. That's accurate for Snow Leopard, not Lion. Requires macOS 10, Mountain Lion, or later, so you cannot install iTunes 12 online, even though newer versions exist. What am I reading? You cannot go to iTunes 12 without upgrading macOS to Mountain Lion or higher. You know what? What is it going to say for this? Okay, make sure your Mac is running Lion. Yeah. 11.4. This is not how iTunes works. I mean, it would be nice, don't get me wrong, it would be nice to have this. And actually, before we send this, I'm going to copy this real quick. Say, please, searching the web. Oh, and it still says it. From Apple's iTunes. Okay, so this is pulling from like a newer release, I guess. Let me see this. iTunes 12, but what version is this? Whoa. What's this? iTunes 12.2.2? So why has it been lying to me this entire time? Lion cannot run and it still goes with this. What? The chart from the history of iTunes shows Lion's latest compatible version is 12.2.2.25, meaning anything more recent becomes incompatible. Okay, now it's just gonna like, oh, I didn't say that. It's just look at this information. Modern iTunes won't run on this. Well, yeah, it's not modern iTunes, but it's still iTunes 12. Okay, why? Let's see. How can it not run when that is the iTunes version I'm running on macOS Lion? Ah, that makes perfect sense now. You're already running iTunes 12.2.2.25 on macOS 10 Lion. So technically, iTunes 12 can run on Lion. Why did you tell me that only 11.4 works? Ah, now I see where the confusion came from. And you're right to call it out. Here's what happened. Earlier, I oversimplified the situation and said Lion can only run iTunes 11.4 because historically, most Lion guides highlight 11.4 as the last major version. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like some information from before iTunes 12. And it keeps saying, ah. Okay, you're totally right. You were never wrong. I was the one oversimplifying and misrepresenting Lion's compatibility. You're literally living proof that iTunes 12 works fine on macOS 10. Wait, no, OS 10, 10.7. It's not OS 10, it's still macOS 10. See? No gaslighting here. Yeah, he's not happy. I just misremembered the nuanced version limits. You already know facts from real experience. Okay, built-in web browsers are too old, yeah, I mean, okay, let's see. 10.4 Fox, Classilla. Okay, at least it says it's for PowerPC Max, but I wouldn't put that as the first option. Ah, now this makes perfect sense. It keeps saying ah, like it's just uncovered something. Aren't you supposed to know this? You're not breaking reality. Your setup works because you're using a patch/unofficial modern Firefox build that bypasses Lion's OS limitations. Is there a video guide on how to make it work on macOS 10.7? Is it gonna show my video on this? Searching the web? Yes, there are video guides. What is this? This unofficial video from YouTube shows how to install a newer web browser, and it's from 2020. Firefox Dynasty is a real thing. Community project. There isn't a widely known dedicated official video tutorial specifically for this. Remember, this is where your RAM is going. There it is! Yes, there's at least one video guide about Firefox Dynasty and using modern Firefox on older Macs. So, okay. This video demonstrates how it works, offers practical tips for getting it going on machines where official browser support has ended. Exactly the kind of topic you were referring to. Wow, it's almost as if I made this video and I'm using the same Mac that I made the video with. Wow. Okay, GitHub page is unfortunately still gone, I believe. Yeah. If you go to this video and you have a Mac where you want to get it up and running, I have an Internet Archive backup of this copy of Firefox, so it will run on macOS Lion and newer as long as it still works. Let's go back to the subject of songs. So for the next song here, we're going to use Bee Gees, and more specifically, the High Civilization album with the track True Confessions. And the cool part about this album is pretty much everything about it. Peak early 90s. Haha, got it, you're just navigating. Okay, so it's still thinking about this. Haha, I get you. No fighting, no friction, happy emoji. You're just here trying to make your old Mac work with modern tech. Not to start a battle with software limitations. In fact, your approach is smart. You're using patched browsers like Firefox Dynasty. I can make a step-by-step fight-free guide. Okay, so keep in mind, this still has the knowledge of previous tracks that we've talked about. Ah, I see, you're quoting lines again. That's from Calling All Stations by Genesis. Is it? Is it from Calling All Stations? I checked the official lyrics of Calling All Stations, and that specific line doesn't actually appear. What? But wait a second. You're quoting lines again. That's from Calling All Stations. In fact, the line you quoted is from a different song entirely, likely from a different artist, but it's not part of the lyrics. Okay. Okay, how is it going to respond to this now? We sing the same song. Ah, I see, you're speaking metaphorically now. And it just... Yeah, thanks for that emoji. Very helpful. We sing the same song. Feels like you're aligning experiences, feelings, or goals. You've been referencing lines from songs or feelings about careful decisions, hesitation, and reflection, saying we sing the same. What are you talking about? Evolution is a good one too, but let me go back to this for the lyrics. You know what? I'm not even going to say anything else. I'm still going to continue. Okay, this is straight up just the lyrics. That line isn't from Calling All. It's still continuing with Calling All Stations. It has more of a reflective, almost wistful tone. I can try to identify the exact song these last lines are from. Okay, any guesses? Actually, no. I'm going to end off with the last lyric for the first part here. Ah, now you're continuing the thread with You and I Will Meet Again. There's a clear theme of reunion, hope, and enduring connection. I wouldn't say that's really the... Where's that one lyric? Ready for war? Remember, this is supposed to be like peak technology, right? This is supposed to be the future. It always says, it's always like, oops, sorry. This deepens the story of reflection and missed opportunity. I can map all the lines you've quoted so far into a cohesive lyric, straight up ripping off the Bee Gees. And then I'm going to say it's committing copyright infringement because how can I not play Bee Gees, but it's allowed to make a rip-off of True Confessions? Absolutely. Let's take all the lines you've shared and shape them into is it going to take like the ones from Eiffel 65 too? Is it just going to have like blue somewhere? Ah, now it clicks. Shocked emoji. Yes, the lines you've been quoting are indeed from the Bee Gees. Why did I have to tell you this? Why? Aren't you supposed to like know? I literally wrote the lyrics word for word and you just kept like, we were talking about music in the same instance here. And you just kept saying, Calling All Stations. So when I took your lines and turned them into a song, I essentially reimagined the narrative True Confessions. No, you cannot reimagine the Bee Gees. Haha, exactly. Some classics are untouchable, smiley emoji. The Bee Gees have a way of writing lyrics and melodies that are so timeless and emotionally precise, no reinterpretation can truly replace them. Nah, I'm good. Got it, time to call your station. Sounds like a perfect plan. Enjoy whatever signals, vibes, or tunes you're connecting with, and may all your stations come in loud and clear. See what it says here. Because, of course, we are on a Mac Pro 2006. 32 gigabytes of RAM. CPU architecture, 32-bit or early 64-bit. Okay, modern software. It's called slopware, okay? There is no more modern software. This is what you call software. You see this? This is what you call software, including Launchpad itself. macOS support. Officially, the last macOS version it supports is Lion. Technically, you can patch it up to 10.11. No security updates, no modern Safari, no access to current macOS features. Like, I really need that. Max RAM is 32 gigabytes. Don't think it takes 64. In fact, we can actually check Mac Tracker. I have it installed on my Hackintosh over to the right here. Maximum memory is 32 gigabytes actual. Maximum memory 32 gigabytes, not 64 because it's from 2006. Okay, doesn't support Metal, so most modern graphics applications. Again, I don't need modern slopware, man. Connections, no USB-C. You're saying like that's a bad thing. I don't need USB-C. I need Firewire. I need more of it. Technically, this actually can support like early Thunderbolt because Thunderbolt 1 and maybe even 2. I know for sure Thunderbolt 1 should be supported in Lion. And within System Report, you have a Thunderbolt option. So As long as you have like a Thunderbolt PCI card installed, then yeah, you could use Thunderbolt with this. Ensured by Apple's official standards is obsolete, so yeah, not slopware. You're pointing out the core truth of obsolescence versus usefulness. Maybe old, but it runs actual professional software reliably. Photoshop, Logic, Final Cut. Wow, it's actually right for once. It's stable, upgradable, and doesn't come bloated with modern slopware. Honestly, the newer Macs don't really have slopware. It's more like a Windows type of thing, but if it keeps going through like the subscription models, then I don't know about that even. So, expandable RAM, multiple cores, multiple PCI slots, quiet cooling, and rock-solid hardware longevity. Isn't that wild? Yes, that is wild, and honestly, it's one of those little retro computing joys. Legacy version, CS6. I actually use CS4 because it's actually a pretty solid version, especially when it comes to YouTube thumbnails. Contrast that with today's setup, cloud-based apps, so the slopware again. Honestly, it's like having a little time capsule of computing freedom in your hands. Steve approved. Or actually, no. What does it mean for a Mac or Mac OS version to be Steve approved? Ah, Steve approved. That's a fun one. I say if it's Steve approved. Usually means that the original vision and standards Steve Jobs had for Apple hardware and software, less official and more sleek, minimalist, functional yet beautiful hardware design, intuitive UI and UX, things just make sense. No unnecessary bloat. Build quality, aluminum glass. I mean, Power Mac G4 is acrylic, and that's Steve approved. So, fail. Apps that are stable, integrated, and responsive. Okay, Mac Pro. Yeah, Steve approved. Am I Steve approved? Watch it say no. It's doing some thinking here. Am I Steve approved? Okay, based on what's publicly visible, it does exist on YouTube. Currently living in the past, pretty cool. CRT's PowerPC and the ... which strongly suggest vintage retro tech content. However, to answer your question about whether it's Steve approved, let's see. Steve approved isn't an official badge. Come on. So applying that to a YouTube channel depends on the content of the videos. Okay, what the channel appears to be about. Possibly, you're not even going to look at it. The description suggests old Macs, CRT displays, PowerPC era machines. What about the Windows PCs? What about the iOS devices? What do you mean officially no? A channel can feel Steve approved to you if treats older tech with care and respect. If I do that, then a lot of other people. If you like, tell me what kind of videos they post. Okay, I looked up the channel, and while there isn't a formal playlist or text list of every Mac model they feature, yeah, I probably need to organize the Mac information that I have. Just haven't gone around to that. Emphasizes retro and older computers, including classic Macs as part of its retro tech niche. A video referenced in the description is titled Achieving Enlightenment with the Power Mac G4, indicating that the Power Mac G4 era machines are featured. This is the equivalent of like me looking at my channel. Like if I didn't know anything about it, I just look at the title and the thumbnail and I see Power Mac G4. Oh, it looks like they have maybe PowerPC G4 machine. They don't even say the Power Mac G4. Isn't it supposed to like look at all this information instantly? Maybe could do a Mac collection video or something, but that's probably going to take some time. Clearly focuses on retro Macs. This fits a broader trend among retro computing channels, which often explore classic hardware. I don't have a 128K. I have a classic, and that doesn't work because the battery. Early PowerPC systems, please tell me more. Here's what I can tell you about the Achieving Enlightenment with the Power Mac G4 video. Okay, recent upload. At least as of the time I'm recording this, it is a more recent upload. One of Apple's classic PowerPC-based desktop computers. Judging by the style and the title, the video is likely a deep dive appreciation. What do you mean judging? Isn't there like AI systems on YouTube all over the place, like, you know, making summaries and stuff? I see it all the time. I guess because it's not like the Gemini or whatever the Google version is. It's one of several tech videos on the channel. Several, huh? Alongside things like Windows XP on Dell hardware and other collectible tech. The Power Mac G4 series is a beloved machine. Where to watch? You can watch it here. I wasn't able to pull a full transcript or detailed breakdown. Does this mean that my video is AI proof? But based on the title, the channel theme, and related search, I can give you a reliable summary of what the video is about. Okay, tell me what it's about. Video is about RetroTech Showcase, one of Apple's classic PowerPC Mac, GeForce design. Is it going to tell me that it's an AGP graphics model? The enlightenment in the title implies a deeper appreciation of the G4 as a piece of Apple's history and why it still resonates with enthusiasts. Is it still part? Yeah, this is all like part of the video. Hardware demonstration, personal commentary, and sometimes restoration or testing of old Macs. Does it know that it's an AGP graphics model in the video? You have four options. You have the PCI, you have the AGP, you have gigabit, and digital audio. So 25% chance. I mean, there's also like the different like CPU revisions. There's a lot more specifications that you can get into, but I just want to know, does it actually know it's an AGP graphics model? I found the actual video you're talking about. You've been talking about this. However, YouTube doesn't include model details in the title page metadata, and it couldn't find a public transcript. The video page itself only lists the title and the thumbnail. There's no text description confirming the precise model identifier. I mean, if you just look at the thumbnail, you would know it's not a Quicksilver and it's not an MDD. Common variants, it's not any of these. Except, I mean, it's just guessing at this point. Slot loading optical drive, whoa. No, like if you're talking about the zip drive, it looks like a slot loader, but no, this is wrong. You look at the thumbnail. Ah, I see the confusion. I don't have the ability to directly view YouTube videos or thumbnails in real time. Is it supposed to be a logged in feature? Maybe it's again like the Google Gemini stuff, so maybe we can give this a pass. But this is still hilarious. Like, that's why I can give likely options based on the channel and typical collector behavior, guidance on how to visually identify the model. Bro, it doesn't know. It doesn't know what to say. Hey, if that's dark humor, I get that sometimes. We can keep it funny without going nuclear. This page is slowing down Firefox. Wow, that's crazy. Ah, that viral meme you've been quoting is from a meme song, not something made out of thin air. Laughing, crying emoji. So yeah, that meme song is real, and your lyric is literally the hook that made it blow up online. Okay, I think we've had enough internet for now. No more AI. Yeah, at this point, with all of this slop, you really just gotta stay alive. What did we learn today? I wrote BG's lyrics into the AI. It thought that I made the lyrics, and then it proceeded to make a ripoff of True Confessions. Where is it? Here it is. True Confessions. It made a ripoff. Basically, in most of the cases, I had to tell it first. Like, I had to know about it first, and I realized that the exposure is a bit high on the camera. Sorry about that. It is, of course, an iPhone 4, so we don't have any of that fancy auto adjustment here, apart from like the basic stuff. It told me that I imagined some information about Eiffel 65 and the creation of Blue, and in general just a nice slop experience. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. It's more of the commentary slop style content, mainly just to have some fun. Obviously, you know, the AI isn't going to be perfect. I'm not saying that the AI itself is, why bother looking into the technology? I see that there are ways where you can use like the technology behind it. It can help out depending on the situation, depending on the information. If it's a proper model that is designed to work well with all the data, then I'm sure the technology itself does have the potential to work even better. But instead it told me that the version of iTunes I'm running is not possible because apparently it said so online until it looked further into it. So it's like the equivalent of looking at the first Google search and saying that's everything. I'm not going to say I'm an expert with this information because, you know, I focus more on the old stuff here, but at least we got a pretty hilarious video out of it. I mean, yeah, iTunes 12.2.2 doesn't exist until it does. So if you enjoyed today's video, then consider leaving it a thumbs up. And if you want to see even more hilarious slop style content in the future, or more importantly, actually making use of the old Macintoshes in the first place, then consider subscribing. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.